NXT Champion Carmelo Hayes had his Raw in-ring debut on this week's episode. Is he WWE's next big thing? Let's chat about it. I am Luco in DAD, and I'm joined by the Professor, the Truth, Dan Layton. Welcome to the WrestleTalk Podcast review of Monday Night Raw. Please, if this is your first time here, press the subscribe button. Give us a little thumbs up to help us in the algorithm. And if you're watching this on demand, leave a comment down below or send us a tweet if you're listening to this on the audio medium. If you're feeling fancy with your thoughts on this episode of Monday Night Raw. But if you're watching live, get in your UltraChats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out all of them above the $5 amounts. Coming up later in the show, we're also going to be announcing the next two names in this year's Jam in the Jar. On tomorrow here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel, we will be doing the draw for who will be the representatives within the Jam in the Jar ladder matches, as well as the predictions for the LIW match for the Jam That Championship between Pete and Tempest.
Goodness gracious.
Crown an actual undisputed champion for a change.
They're going to be hanging. They're going to have to climb over each other.
Is that what?
Yeah.
It's going to be really awkward in the Long Arm Pub and Brewery.
Yeah.
Also, more on that in a little bit. But first, we are going to kick things off by talking about Carmelo Hayes. So Hayes and Seth Rollins had a sort of a little bit of a friendship, some might say, going back to NXT last week. So, Rollins was talking about how he was defending the championship. Carmelo Hayes had his back. Rollins sort of got Hayes' back as well. And Rollins came out for this promo segment. I think we'll do the promo segment first, where he says that, hey, look, NXT champion Carmelo Hayes is at ringside. And he puts over Carmelo Hayes. And there was an NXT chant, which I don't think I've heard on
Not for a long time.
I haven't heard on Raw since 2017.
Yeah.
So that was quite a delightful thing. Rollins thanked him for having his back and promotes the Baron Corbin match that's happening tonight on NXT as part of Gold Rush Night 2. So I thought it was really, last week's NXT was a massive success for them in terms of the ratings, because they had Rollins wrestling on the show, and that saw a massive bump, comparatively to what NXT usually gets. So I think them doing some good cross-promotion here, featuring Hayes on this show, saying, hey, if you tune into NXT tomorrow night, and this is different to them running adverts for NXT.
It is, because half the time I skip through those adverts because I can't tell if they're for the USA Network or for BT, and it's just whatever.
But even if USA were running them, it's not the same as Seth Rollins coming out and being like, you should watch NXT tomorrow night for X, Y, and Z.
And also, there have been reports, obviously, that they are trying to hype NXT as a third brand, not just as a developmental.
I have been hearing that since 2015.
I know. I take it with
I'm up to year 8 of this promise that it's the third brand.
I also personally don't think it should be. Whatever, we don't need that. But also, it is interesting then. I think what's different this time is not just the idea of here's the NXT champion, like Kevin Owens was brought up as NXT champion. It's we have our stars defending their world title on NXT. We have this guy here who's got a big match, and I am, as the world champion, I'm putting him over, kind of thing. So it's a lot more considered than in the past 8 years. I think it's fair to say.
I would say so. I thought this was really, really good, actually, having a main roster star telling you why you should be watching NXT tomorrow night. I think is a really smart thing.
And last week we had Bron Breakker cut a promo, which was super interesting, because again, it's a good opportunity to, without being called up and making a statement about you being called up and you live and die on this, you're able to go and sort of dip your toe in and try it and then go back down.
And we said on the show last week, it wasn't the greatest thing for Bryn Brockles to come up and just cut this promo backstage. It was a sort of point of what was the point of that? So I think this week was a much better use of Carmelo Hayes, which we'll get into when we get to the match itself. Rollins then called out Balor and noted that he's not 100% after Balor's attack last week, and he won't be 100% at Money in the Bank. Interesting that was also Cody Rhodes' storyline going into Clash of the Champions, or whatever it was called, Night of Champions. And Balor appears, he tries to sneak attack Rollins in the segment to hit him with a chair, but Rollins sort of gets the better of him. Balor eventually takes over and starts targeting his ribs, throwing him into the stairs, throwing him into the table. And he's going to hit him with a chair again, when Carmelo Hayes stops him, grabs the chair from his hand, and it's almost like Rollins and Hayes ran off Balor.
They were very much sort of teaming up.
I had your back last week.
Yeah.
I've got your back again now. So like it's some kind of like nice. They're two champions of their respective brands showing some mutual respect to each other.
Yeah.
And it led to Finn Balor and Carmelo Hayes having a match on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting I felt about this match is that this match had kind of two goals, really. Give Balor a win going into the pay-per-view on Saturday, because wins and losses don't matter apart from when they do.
Apart from when they matter.
And I think more importantly, perhaps crucially, point B, showcasing Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
That's because I would put money on that this was a lot of people's first time seeing Hayes wrestle. A good maybe like 75%.
I don't watch NXT weekly. I watch their star events, takeovers, battleground, anything like that, but I tend not to tune into the weekly show. But so as a result, I know Carmelo Hayes, but I don't know him that well, and I can imagine that I'm not alone in that. So there's a few people who will be seeing him for the first time, and I think it was a pretty good showing.
He was great in this match. Like he got to do all of his big spots,
and they were great. And they were like Balor's a really good person to put him with, because he's going to be able to deliver for Carmelo. So like, I think of the springboard tornado DDT, which I just loved, because like between Cody and Ospreay, we're seeing a lot of that kind of springboard move situation. But there's something about I'm facing the other way to you, the momentum of my springboard DDT takes you over, that as a piece of logic works, which I really like. I loved the sort of Finn is dangling over the ropes and the leg drop. There's a lot of great moves that we're seeing, his style. So in that respect, I think it was really good.
Yeah. And Balor won clean. There was no shenanigans here. Balor just hit the coup de grace and he got the win. And you are kind of in a position where at the end of it, I was like, I think with the benefit of hindsight, I don't think I would have booked this match.
Yes.
Particularly because Carmelo Hayes has a championship match tonight. He's defending his title tonight against Baron Corbin. And this, I suppose, is when you come into the argument of, well, he's not a real world champion. Like, because you wouldn't have done this to Seth, you wouldn't have done this to Roman, but you can do it to Carmelo Hayes because he's not a real world champion.
Not to be. I mean, people don't like it when I do the sports metaphors, but it's like when in the FA Cup when you have like the person who's at the top of League Two facing the person who's at the top of the Premier League, and like it's cool if they get a victory and you go, oh my god, they just knocked out the Giants, but like, you don't expect them to win. So I kind of, in that sense, if NXT is considered to be the developmental brand, even their champion should be less than the challenger for the championship at the pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
So makes sense. But there is a championship match tonight that you're trying to sell.
You're trying to promote. That's what Rollins was doing in his promo.
Yeah.
Was telling you to watch that match.
So the question does become, if that's your problem, and you're saying, well, how do we deal with that problem? Well, don't book it. Like it's your choice to put that match together. And as much as I did enjoy the match, it wouldn't have been appropriate for Carmelo Hayes to win. But you have had him eat a loss on the big TV show before his defense. You cannot be pinning
Finn Balor here.
Yeah,
Finn Balor's going for the world title on Saturday, so you can't beat him. So then well, I suppose we've got to beat Carmelo Hayes. But as some of the people in the chat here, he is a real champion.
Yes, he is.
So you shouldn't be pinning your real champions.
Yeah.
So, I think it's that benefit of hindsight. Maybe don't book the match.
Maybe book a tag match.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, like Seth and Carmelo Hayes versus Finn and Priest.
Yeah. Oh, Finn and Priest even. I was going with Braun Breaker.
Oh, actually, and that would also been... That would have been really
Or even
good.
Corbin.
Or Corbin. Yeah, Corbin. Because Corbin's going for the title tonight, so you could have done... Actually, the tag's a really good idea. Because my other thinking was, like, you could have Baron Corbin interfere, cost Carmelo Hayes the match. I embarrassed you before your title match against me. You're now going as a loser. I'm a winner going into this. And you can also tie that into Finn Balor as well. It's like, well, Balor had help to win this, but Balor's got help in Dominic Mysterio, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. There's every chance that one of those three or all three of them could interfere with Seth, and Seth at advantage. You're then telling two different narratives based around two different characters.
And I don't like a dirty finish.
No.
But sometimes it works and sometimes it's appropriate, So like if you wanted to do that kind of like interference, or if you just pick Finn a partner like a Braun Breaker, say, who has already lost to Seth or whatever, is a bit butthurt about it.
Yeah.
That's your person who can take the pin. This is a made up sport. You can choose. So,
it's like your FA Cup thing is almost perfect, but also not, because
it's a legitimate sport.
It's a legitimate sport where wins and losses are not determined.
No,
they also matter.
They do matter on a points level.
So I think the benefit of hindsight probably would say don't book this match.
Right.
Because I don't think this helped NXT and the title match tonight. I mean, it kind of helped Finn, and you got to. And
it did help.
That's
Finn.
The thing is, you probably got to give Finn your clean finish. So every time you kind of like come up with a solution, you're like, well, that does this, or well, that does this, well, that does this. Then yeah, the ultimate answer is don't do it, or as you suggested, do a better tag match instead.
Yeah, I think because it's not to undersell that I thought the match was good. Like I really enjoyed watching it, and in fact, there was a few others on the show tonight where I was like, I like watching this wrestling, and I liked what we saw of Carmelo Hayes, and ultimately, I don't think it hurts Carmelo Hayes when he gets a main roster call up, because I do think because the question that we're leading with here is he the next big thing? Is it him?
That's it. And to your point there, this does not like it's not like he's going to come up to the main roster in a year's time. People are like, oh, it's that loser,
that guy who lost to Finn Balor.
Because like no one looks at Walter and says he's the guy that lost in 13 seconds at Survivor Series that 1 year. Doesn't mean you should have done it.
No.
But it does not, like, there are some people who can overcome these sorts of hurdles. Like, Karrion Kross could not overcome the hurdle of being beaten on his debut by Jeff Hardy.
Right.
Like, that just massively hurt all of his momentum coming up. And then he got the bad gimmick, and then that just really killed him off before he got released, before he got brought back. But there are some people like a Walter, because he's a special talent, that don't get hurt by this. And I don't think Carmelo Hayes will be hurt by this. I think it hurts the title match tonight in the short term, but in the long term, doesn't really hurt him as a performer.
No.
Or as a character within WWE. And yeah, to our sort of talking point at hand, is he the next big thing? Is he really him? I think there's so much upside to him. Like, I know like a lot of people have been singing his praises for the last year or so since the big NXT 2.0 rebrand. I think his partnership with Trick Williams is very cool, and it's very different within WWE. But he has got a real special aura about him. When he made his entrance, it was one of those, you're a ready-made guy. Like you could be brought to the main roster next week and you would fit right in. You don't need another year of developmental to be able to do this.
There's something about the visual presentation of him, like even sat, in ringside, he's got his glasses on, he's a sharp looking guy, he's a handsome guy, he's got the belt. It's really helpful when someone's got a belt to imagine them with the belt. Do you know what I mean? Like that sounds like a silly thing to say, but sometimes it's like, can I imagine, like, for instance, Eddie Guerrero being the world champion, and then he puts the belt on, and you go, yeah, I can see it. Do you know what I mean? There's something, like, it's not a doubting of the person's quality. It's about, you kind of can't be what you can't see, that kind of thing. Seeing him in this presentation puts him over, and then when you then get a match with him later on, and the moves are that crisp, that delicious, that really nice kind of wrestling, yeah, it works. I think he's a big star. What's really interesting though is also there's a little bit of me that can't help but see NXT as like, when you're in sixth form, when you're basically in the UK, you have primary school, then you have secondary school till year 11, then you can leave school if you want to, or you can do optional couple more years. And those 2 years, you have the year 12s and the year 13s. When you get into year 13,
sixth form.
When you get into year 13. The year 12s who have come and joined you in sixth form, I always look down and I'm like, yeah, you want us, you want on our level. And there's a little part of me that sees him as like, he's a year 12. Do you know what I mean?
Did you have a common room?
We did.
At school, in your school? Was your common room almost divided in half? Unintended, like not deliberately but they're like the year 12s go onto one side and the year 13s go onto another side. But then when you become the year 13s, you stay on your side because the year 12s are coming into
what we had was tables and chairs for one side and comfy chairs on the other. And the year 13s get the comfy chairs. And if you're a year 12 and you sat on a comfy chair, get out.
Woe betide those year 12 trophies. Well, we kind of took over a corner of our common room and we just like plastered it with posters of like bands or like movies that we were into at the time. Like I basically just ran ink printers just like printing off posters of the Evil Dead. And no, we wouldn't have done anything like Jordan. I think we'd have been. I probably would have got in trouble for that. But like I remember. Because I'm old, you see, folks, using South Park character generators and stuff, and like making like all of my friends into South Park characters. We printed all those off, and we had like our corner of the room. It was dead cool. And then when we graduated year 13, the year 12s, who were then going up into year 13, tore it all down.
Of course they did. No respect.
And some of the teachers were really upset about it because they felt that should have stayed there and remained there.
Yeah, it was erasing you.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
But yeah, anyway,
my tangent for that point was that like I do see Carmelo Hayes as like the next thing.
He's a current year 12.
He's a year 12. I'm excited to see him enter the big, in the same way that I think Bron Breakker is. You look at it, it's like, the future's in good hands kind of thing. But just not yet. just not yet.
When I watch NXT, there's only like a handful of people that I would say you're going straight into the main event scene, or you really do belong in the main event scene. And that is people like, I do think Bron Breakker, Carmelo Hayes is another one. Obviously, there's people like Dragon Lee because he's got like the experience. Like Tyler Bate, I think, should be because he's got the worldwide experience and things like that. But there aren't like loads of people that would be like, I would instantly bring you up and put you into a main event program. Carmelo Hayes is that guy, though. I would 100% bring Carmelo Hayes up and be like, let's make an instant main eventer out of this guy, because I think he does have it. He has got that intangible it factor that cannot be described or cannot be like, I don't know, but I think he has got whatever it is.
My only issue with that, because I think he has got it. I think it is him. I think, it's not just a branding exercise. It is legit. When you come in and you go into the main event, there's no room for growth, right? And I feel like it's a problem, small p problem, of like the current generation of wrestlers who have exceedingly long careers, is that, say you do your main event program and you win the world title and then you lose the world title, where do you go? Do you fall back down?
But it's not going into main event. I'm thinking of like my best example I always bring up for this, like bringing them in as main eventers, is the Shield. Right. Because they brought the Shield in and they just said, like, these are top guys. They are fighting the top guys. It's not like they brought them in and were just like, and now they're going to be feuding with, the primetime players. Not like just feuding with like these lower level guys.
Right.
They're facing Bryan Danielson. They're facing Ryback. They're facing Kane. They're facing John Cena. They're facing they're facing Randy Orton. So you immediately set them up as we are told as a viewer, these are main event players, and that's kind of what I can see you could do it. And they're kind of already doing that. I was
going to say, you're right. They kind of are doing that.
Putting him in the ring with Finn Balor, associating him with Seth Rollins. Like, he is a guy you can bring in straight at a main event level.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Especially because I've also talked about, and I will talk about later on in the show, because I actually was quite bored during the Seth stuff. The main event here is currently the tag team, and then someone who's wrestling Dominic Mysterio. So like, the main event is actually quite a broad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because I was looking up and down like the NXT call-ups that they've done since the draft, and it was like Odyssey Jones,
where
like whatever happened to that?
Yeah,
Von Wagner,
JD
McDonough. Like he's had one match. Caden Carter in the other one. Like they've had
Katana Chance.
Sorry, Katana Chance in the other one. Like they've had their maybe one or two matches.
Well, they were at a party.
But I feel like we've had quite a few NXT call-ups that have amounted to, and it's not like, oh, give them time. It's been a couple of months, and we're not really doing anything with them.
That's true. I mean, yeah,
we're doing more with Hayes, and he's not even on the main roster.
Yeah, it is tricky.
But let's see what you have to say about this episode of Monday Night Raw when we get into your Ultra Chat documents. Like you, I cannot. There it is. I've got it now. It's okay, folks. I've got the questions. Matt Hennessy kicks us off here to say, PW Insider said that Vince's fingerprints were all over the show. However, Better Wrestling Experience also have a good track record for breaking, said the opposite. Honestly, watching the show, 85% felt like a trip show with 15 having Vince McMahon's fingerprints. Better Wrestling Experience also mentioned before Raw aired that Hayes would be fighting a top name on Raw and that Ciampa Miz feud would be the catalyst for a Johnny Gargano DIY return. Worked Wrestling also have a good track record and did report KO and Sami Zayn will feud with DIY. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of those have been sort of on the plans for quite some time. Worked Wrestling have been on that. PW Insider, it's a funny one because like, there's the PW Insider report that Vince's fingerprints were all over this show, and I think you can feel them a lot over this show. But there was also the other reports that they're having meetings, Triple H and Nick Khan are having meetings to try and
figure out how to stop it.
Figure out how to stop the Vince interference, because it's probably not needed right now.
It's like, so the reports, when I read them, I'm like, this is such a toxic environment. This is such a toxic person who Triple H can't tell him no, for fear of getting fired. So, like, how is any lowly writer supposed to push back? But I think the thing is, Fightful in their reporting have said, we're basically not going to cover whether or not Vince was involved, because at this point, Vince is back.
He's just making changes.
He's involved. Now, when you see something like the Raw after Mania or SmackDown last week, where programs had been put in place, things had been set up in advance, Vince comes in, tears it all up, and then we get, as a result, a sort of less good show. That's like, oh, Vince is doing heavy interference here. an average show like this, and I do think this was an average show, or like last week, which was, a perfectly fine show, Vince is going to be interfering. That's just standard. So I think looking for Vince's fingerprints is kind of like a pointless exercise because they're going to be there. So
Triple H has learned under Vince. So even if something feels like it's a Triple H, or that feels like a Vince thing, it could just very well be a Triple H thing because you pick up bad habits along the way.
You were so right, and we were talking about this earlier on about Triple H's booking being bland or whatever. I think I made
the quite bold proclamation in the office. I do think Triple H is the blandest booker in professional wrestling. I think that he just books very standard shows.
I think he's up and down. I think I've seen some really good stuff. I think I've seen some absolutely fine stuff. I think the majority, I would say, were absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Like, not to go over the top. I think the big things for me that Triple H changed were the sort of presentational elements of it,
which are much better.
Trying to make championships mean a little more. Trying to giving people their first names back. Stuff that insults our intelligence. I felt like our intelligence was insulted a lot less.
Yeah, or giving people back their NXT names. So like, you no longer do drop your Piper Niven. You're no longer Nikki ASH. You're back to Nikki Cross.
Exactly. Or even like, okay, so this isn't working. We're gonna put you guys together because I remember this. Like, we're gonna get Ciampa back when he's ready, or things like that.
Rather than just putting it back with the Miz, which is a good bit of a Vince thing to do.
It would have been a Vince thing to do. So it's this. We're in this weird hybrid zone since I can't get over enough how gross this hostile takeover was. Like being forced out for some really disgusting alleged activities, having to use company money to allegedly hush up these company activities, and then like you're given quite a polite retirement, and then toxic masculinity takes over and you force your way back on by like hostile takeover and removing people from the board and putting yourself in there like you're in an episode of Succession but you wish you were Logan Roy. Come on. Like, it's just all ick. And it's hard then to watch the show and think about, well, is it Vince's fingerprints, is it Triple H's? It's just bleh. So I try and just sort of not think about it in that context and just watch the show because unfortunately he's there, right?
Yeah.
And until something catastrophic happens, which I don't wish for on any person, he's going to be there for a while.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think you can clearly tell by these shows, Triple H has still got the final say on things, at least in the most part. From what Fightful have said, a lot of the changes are just sort of structural changes to the show, moving some segments around.
Yes.
Like, okay, well, let's
things up.
We'll rip up this first half hour and we'll rework this, but then the rest of it kind of stays the same. And when I say that I think Triple H is a bland booker, I just don't think he does a lot of things that are inspiring on shows. Like this week had really good wrestling up and down the card. You had Shinsuke Nakamura and Ricochet. You had Walter and Sami Zayn. And you had Carmelo Hayes and Finn Balor. And you had the main events of Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. Like, that's the easy bits.
Right.
Like,
when you say that's the easy bit, that bears fruit in Triple H pay-per-views, which are generally very good. All you need to do there is put matches together.
Exactly, that's where he excels. He's a very good matchmaker.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he puts together he doesn't book compelling television, but he's an excellent matchmaker. Because I think you'd be hard-pressed to book Sami Zayn and Walter in a match, and it's bad.
Yeah, and I think you can then also look back and see, like, okay, so the women's Royal Rumble that he had a big heavy hand in was the first one, was booked very well. I think the shows themselves, the big shows, you get some great moments. And actually, when he says, I'm going to put you in a program with this person, actually a good example of something recently and something from this show that I've actually really enjoyed is Cody and Dominic. I think, I don't think this was part of his plan, but I think he's taken lemons and made lemonade in this particular program. It's a very simple program, executed well in the build, and we'll get to it later on. But to bring it back to the point, what we're really talking about here, which is the Hayes sort of call-up, I actually think I don't see this kind of Hayes call-up spotlight happening under Vince. I see that as more of a Triple H thing.
Triple H and Shawn, certainly. Yeah, I can certainly see.
Yeah.
I mean, Hayes losing feels like that was a Vince thing. Because the fact that I think they did that when Charlotte had like a thing she was on before she got called up and she was still in NXT and she had like an NXT title match that was coming up and she got beat by Natalya on TV and like on the sort of Monday before the Wednesday NXT match. And I remember the time being going like, why would you do that?
Why would you do it? Yeah, why have you brought her here for that purpose?
Yeah. So that feels like a very Vince thing. But the actual putting Carmelo Hayes on TV, that feels like a very much Triple H thing to do. Last one we'll do from here for now, which is from Tyler Marcus, who said, I'm so excited for Saturday. I will be there live with you guys for both the watch party and Quizzlemania, and I will sing the correct song for my landsman Walter when he chops the crap out of Matt Riddle.
Very excited, by the way, for this weekend.
I know a lot of people here say Bloodlines has been compelling. That is booked by Roman Reigns.
This is it. I mean, I think the Bloodline is compelling, but it's almost like it exists separately, because Damage Control hasn't been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like he is.
Isn't that much? A lot of it is Paul Heyman as well, and like Triple H. Let's be clear, Triple H is not involved in the Bloodline storyline. Like he's got final sign off. He's not signing off on it, and in fact. This is where my firm, hard belief that the plan was to put the belt on Cody Rhodes exists, because the plotting out to have okay, so what we want you to do in this storyline is we want you to get to Kevin at the Rumble, Sami at Chamber, tag team match for Sami and Kevin at the WrestleMania. Did that or did that not happen? Like that all happened. I would believe that structure was in place from Triple H kind of thing. That was his grand idea. Go off and book it. I trust you with this.
I think that's what a great promoter does, which is allow talent to come to you and kind of pitch ideas and say, here's something we could do, and here's how you could map it out week to week, and then you as the promoter / the booker to be okay, well we could do this on this week, do this, and maybe we change this and we do this here, and you work then with the talent to create a good storyline, and that's what they've done with the Bloodline, and that's why it has been incredible television and continues to be incredible television across WWE. So we are going to get into the main show in just a moment, but as Tyler has just pointed out there, or how would you have said that? Tyrola Marcus. I do apologize. I'm bad at reading. We are doing a live watch along for Money in the Bank, which I'm very excited for. This Saturday, live at the Long Arm. Maybe I'll get the little video playing.
Oh, hello. We can do a little commentary over it like David Attenborough.
Which video is it? Is it this video? It is this video.
Yeah, you nailed it.
So we will be live here at the Long Arm Pub and Brewery in Shoreditch doing a live watch along of Money in the Bank with 150 WrestleTalk fans in attendance who will be watching the show with us, reacting, joining us for live reactions, and having some fun drinks, buy some cool merchandise if you don't mind. And we'll be doing live Quizzlemania Live 2, which, fun story, everyone. 15 extra tickets went on sale for that today and sold out in less than an hour.
Oh my God. Okay, brilliant.
So we've sold this show out twice and we've managed to sell out Quizzlemania for a second time as well. Look,
amazing. And I'm thrilled about it, clearly.
So I'm going to stop that video promo for a moment now, because we have made the announcement that it is going to be Pete Quinnell versus Tempest for the Gem That Championship.
LIW for life until there's gold on the line.
Absolutely. And we announced yesterday the first two entrants into this year's Jam in the Jar, which was Sullivan and Oliver Davis. The next two entrants into Jam in the Jar are yours truly.
Oh my God! Why do you do this every time?
What?
The first time I was on WrestleMania, you put my nude on.
When I asked you for the Rumble?
Yeah. Oh, that one, yeah. I was nude in that one. I've got my full chest out in that one.
Look at that. Look, this is how we're going to get the clicks.
It is. Look. You're all welcome.
It's myself and Dan Layton entering into Jam in the Jar, my third Jam in the Jar entry, looking to make it a three-peat. The final two entrants will be unveiled tomorrow here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel during the prediction stream, or the predictions video rather, where we will also be assigning wrestlers. Do you have any hopes of who you would like to get?
Yeah. And also Io Sky. I would like Io Sky. I would like Becky. I think Becky's, although Becky's touched the briefcase now, so maybe she's not going to win. If I could get Io, I'd be quite pleased about that. And then in the men's, I think it's got to be you got to pick her now. Or I wouldn't say no to a Logan Paul. But yeah, it's. I need this because I had a challenge. I had a go at the Night of Champions event at the championship, and I was beaten by one solitary point by a person who isn't even the champion. So I need another go.
So as a little bit of fun that we're going to do here on the live reactions, I had an email from someone who was attending the event to say, I just wanted to let you know that I'm unable to attend because I've been surprised with a ticket to Money in the Bank as a graduation gift.
Oh, amazing.
They were very...
Congrats on graduating.
Absolutely,
That's very fun, yeah.
They were very kind to say, I'm not looking for a refund on this, but... if someone wants to have, part my ticket across. Fortunately, we can't work it out that way, so we do have to just refund you your ticket. So I hope you enjoy that. But it does mean that live on this very show, there will be 1 ticket available for Money in the Bank. Our Money in the Bank party at the Long Arm Pub and Brewery in Shoreditch. 1 solitary ticket. I will let you know when that ticket is available.
Yeah. Also, if you're hearing that and go, I'd go with a friend, but I'm nervous about going, come on your own, because we keep saying this. You walk in, that's a very, very welcoming room. You'll have a lot of fun. So you're telling me that there's a possibility here of either selling the show out for a 3rd time or taking 2 sellouts and ending up with 1 spare ticket and ultimately not selling it out.
There is a chance that could happen.
That's so funny.
I'm just quickly double checking. I'm not refunding the wrong person. Yep, that is right. You see that person's name there?
Yeah.
Yep. That is. Yep.
Yeah, that looks about right.
That looks about right to me. Okay.
If you get a refund that isn't you,
please let me know, and I'll figure you out, and I'll sort it out. But that means that issue has now been refunded. If I go to the dashboard. 1 ticket is currently available for the show. Our moderators will be spamming the link, so you go into that. So if you haven't got your ticket yet to come and see our live watch party at Money in the Bank, or for Money in the Bank this weekend at Long Arm Pub and Brewery, you all right?
Yeah, I'll tell you in a second. Carry on.
You sure?
Yeah, my mother's just said something. I need to confirm that. No, you do show. I'll check.
Oh no, I saw someone mention this in the chat. Well, we'll come up to this very, very shortly. So yes, I'll just quickly have a refresh. The ticket has not been sold yet, so you still got time, everyone. Right, Dan. Do you want to just break the news now?
I'm not going to believe it until I see it.
It was reported by Variety.
She's shooting it. Kathy Kelly's been moved to SmackDown. Oh no!
I'm afraid
I got too thirsty. I thirsted too close to the sun.
The
Variety?
The rumors are true. Apparently, someone in the chat said Variety have reported that Kathy Kelly has been moved to SmackDown and will no longer be part of the Monday Night Raw broadcasting.
See you on Fox. Oh no! We're getting Jackie Redmond, who like all the respect to Jackie, but you want my Kathy.
Yeah,
Kathy will now move to SmackDown. I mean, at least she'll be with Dakota Kai.
Look, it's I thought this was a okay. Dan's going. Everyone, please press F for respects in the chat.
Fine. Anyway.
I gave the show 3 out of 5 spoilers when we get to the end of this, but I gave this a -5 stars because it took 90 minutes for Kathy to be on screen. and there was no Alpha Academy match either.
Oh, if she's going to be on SmackDown as of this Friday.
You're going to SmackDown this Friday.
I believe I'm going to SmackDown this Friday.
Your dream of taking her out to All Bar 1 and not being able to get a seat.
It could still happen, lad.
I'm telling you. Nando's is the way forward. There's seating upstairs, so you could probably get a table at Nando's.
You could, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could take it to Five Guys, I guess. But
you can sit down at Nando's.
Yeah. Well, you can sit down at Five Guys.
It's not nice, is it? A bit bright.
Nando's is nice.
Nando's has that dim lighting to hide my pores.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I think Nando's is your best bet.
Oh God, that's gutting.
Right, this episode of Raw kicked off with Dominic and Rhea in the ring. Dominic getting that local heat because he wasn't even able to speak over the boos that he was getting for this. So Rhea spoke for him. This brought out Cody.
And then Rhea got booed. That's when you know you're doing well as a heel. Because Rhea gets cheered because she's announced as Rhea Ripley and everyone's exciting. When your heat bleeds over into your other person who's also supposed to, by the way, be a heel.
Yep.
It works. You know, good for them.
So Cody Rhodes came out and they had a bit of a tete-a-tete. There was some sort of like Cody referenced Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
Which I found delightful. I thought that was really fun.
So not only did Rhea get booed more because of Dom, Cody got cheered more because of Dom as well. And then Cody references the Cat in the Hat. The quote in question is, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. I'm referencing the Cat in the Hat, and I'm referencing the Cat in the Hat because you're a child.
Yeah.
And I'm a scared little boy. And I wrote down how... Cody quotes Cat in the Hat, and I'm like, what the F? And then somehow he makes it work. Why is he like this? How is he able to do this?
He's one of the most affable people on the planet.
Yeah.
Because it was beautifully delivered. Because he said the quote, and he said, do you know who said that? The Cat in the Hat.
The Cat in the Hat. How are you making this work?
Because there was 13,000 people in this building that were going like, where do I recognize that from?
Yeah. And me at home going like, I heard that. Yeah.
Oh, it's the Cat in the Hat. Yeah. Mike Myers.
Yeah.
And, and actually, him calling him a scared little boy, genuinely seemed to get to Dom. Not Dom does not allow a lot of things to get to him because he's Dom. He's, prison Dom and all this sort of stuff. But he was genuinely quite rattled and annoyed by the comment of you're a scared little boy. And so, even to the point where Cody was like, look, I'm offering up a free shot here. You keep taking your free pops at me, but I'm literally offering you up a chance to come and hit me in face to face. And Dom doesn't take it. Dom just walks to the back.
In fact, I think a lot of the, like I said earlier on, I think the Cody and Dom stuff all just sort of really worked here. It's a really simple story, which is that Dom is sort of in over his head, and Cody's like, I'm really irritated by you, and I'm going to swat you like a fly. But come on, have a go. I'm going to sort of deal with these things. Do I think Cody should be in a bigger profile match at Money in the Bank? Yes, but I think he should be defending his championship. But that's not what's happening. So what we're getting, I think, is a really solid little program here. And later on, we have even more stuff from Dom, which I'll talk about when we get there, and from Cody, where I'm like, I'm really enjoying this one little storyline. You're all delivering it really well, because Dom is playing that kind of cocky but deeply insecure heel. Cody can sees right through him, but as the big old babyface that he is, I'm going to back down from this fight just because I think you're, less than me, whatever. It's all going for me. It's all working.
And they're across this show as well.
Yes.
There's a lot of Dom, a lot of Rhea, and a lot of Cody on this episode of Raw. Our first bit of action was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ricochet. I've mentioned a few times, I've been really enjoying this triple threat feud with Bronson. Bronson was at ringside and kind of he didn't really get involved, but both men were essentially sort of taking him out, and then he eventually tried to step up and got ejected from ringside.
But I won't say anything about him getting ejected from ringside because I'll get in trouble.
Don't worry, I did it in the edited review. I've literally written here, can't wait for him to just come out again. But this was very fun action, slightly ruined for me by Kevin Patrick's inane commentary, which is at just one point he went, is this the Matrix we're seeing?
Jerry Lawler made Matrix references with the chick kick back in 2003, and even that was too late.
Is this the Matrix we're seeing?
Oh,
dear. Man.
This was exactly the TV match that I want to see from these two. It did really well. There was a double kick on the apron that I quite liked. There was some great sequences between them. And in fact, on the Double or Nothing, Fight Forever, Forbidden Door stream. It was late and I was tired. Someone asked us in the UltraChats what the ideal matchup is, and for me, I'm like, I love a strong style striker versus someone with aerial action, and this is exactly the kind of thing that I like to watch. I like they're all setting, except for Bronson Reed is not in it, but they're setting things up for the match
this weekend
on Saturday. I liked it. And that sliced bread, by the way, using only the momentum of Ricochet's 96 abs, was quite something.
And Ricochet got the win with the shooting star press. I was genuinely surprised by that. I thought if they were going to do a finish, it would have been Nakamura getting the win.
Yeah, I did too.
Because I think he's getting quite a big sort of bit of a push.
But win and losses don't matter, so it's fine.
I suppose you're right.
The shooting star press is the prettiest move in all of wrestling. So it's interesting to me that Ricochet, who can do anything he wants, his looked a bit stilted. I was like, that was wild. But yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun little match.
We had a clip from earlier in the day of Matt Riddle challenging Gunther, and then he got interviewed where he challenged Gunther, and I was like, well, we could have done this in one segment, I suppose.
There was no need for that.
And then Imperium attacked Riddle and accepted his challenge. We've got a recap of the Bloodline from SmackDown, and then Dom and Rhea backstage spoke with Adam Pearce, with Dom asking for a match tonight to show to show Cody Rhodes that he's not a scared little boy, and to show that he wants to fight someone who's on the same level of quality as him, and he's got someone in mind. More on that later.
Have you done we got the little Money in the Bank by the numbers promo?
I've written here, when it comes to Money in the Bank, it's all about the numbers.
Because I found it really funny that at one point they were like, only 3 superstars have successfully cashed in twice. One of them was The Miz. Another one of them was Edge. Let's move on before we have to acknowledge that CM Punk exists.
And the third one was...
Somewhere else. Anyway,
it was a proper it's a bit of a running gag in the office here. I referenced this in the edited review as well. We have a bit of a running thing in the office of the for 20 long years, the Warlord held the record. Like I think the Money in the Bank, a lot of it, the Royal Rumble numbers. It all stems from Brian and Vinny's reviews of the Rumbles with Brent. And he used to go mad and he hated the numbers video. So like there's all that's 25 big shows, that sort of nonsense, right? But I kind of got a bit of a kick out of this because this was a Royal Rumble. It's all about the numbers, but it was about Money in the Bank, and it was like for the women, it's a 100% success rate.
We finally got a gimmick who's got enough history and enough statistics to make another numbers thing work. And I actually the other thing about this segment was that. The Money in the Bank briefcase has taken a bit of a battering in the past sort of year or so, with women's just being cashed in immediately and the theory nonsense. Yeah. So they need to hype it up a little bit more. So I was like, yeah, do you know what? Remind us of it actually meaning something.
I'm super hyped for the lineup of this year's Money in the Bank.
Oh,
in both matches as well.
I agree completely.
But the men's is the one that I'm most excited for. I'm really excited for Damian Priest, LA Knight, Butch in his home country.
Santos Escobar
Escobar's going to be there. Like Ricochet's there to be the Shelton Benjamin of the match and do the cool flips and climb up the ladder spots and whatnot. And Logan Paul, I think, is going to be a hell of a lot of fun in there.
I want Logan Paul and Ricochet to do something off a ladder and hang in the air for about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
What wasn't great was Ronda Rousey took on Raquel Rodriguez. They announced that there will be a tag title match at Money in the Bank, and then Ronda just very quickly rolled up Raquel and won.
Yeah. Do you remember when Ronda Rousey felt special?
Yeah. Yeah, it was 2019.
Yeah, I think there was that huge...
2018.
WrestleMania 34 match was amazing. Then the run was kind of cool. It was Ronda Rousey. It felt legitimate. She felt like a badass. It felt like she was really helping this division by being there. There was a lot going on. It then led us to that amazing Becky Lynch stare down of her in the ring. And then now she's sort of in the middle of Raw on a match to fill some time.
This is the only women's match on the card as well.
Oh,
and that feels like
that's Vince.
I was going to say that's Triple H.
Do you think?
But have you seen the women's division since Trips took over?
I'm not saying it's booked well, but he gives them more opportunities.
I don't know, dude. I think Trips is way worse.
Do you think?
He was great in NXT, but I think his main roster stuff's been pretty dire.
I think the booking has been...
SmackDown has been a desolate waystland for the last year.
I think the booking has been bad, but I think there have been matches.
Well, I cannot deny
opportunities to shine.
There have been matches. But yeah, this was the only women's match on the card, and it was no good.
Also, if I could do one single thing, just one thing, if I could banish the word undisputed from the... Because at the very least, this one, it is undisputed.
These are undisputed, and the tag titles are actually undisputed.
I just don't need to hear the words anymore.
Yeah, they've got 4 different undisputed titles, because there's the women's tag, the men's tag, the
undisputed world
championship, which apparently now is 3 belts.
It's 3 belts.
And the Asuka's women's is undisputed.
And only 2 of them are undisputed. And even you could make the arguable case that the men's undisputed tag team titles aren't undisputed because we have NXT tag team titles.
Yeah.
So, sod off.
So, here's a bit of an interesting thing from me. Because we talked about the Rollins promo already. We had a video promo from Finn Balor. Mm-hmm. This was awesome.
Yeah.
This was so great.
It was.
I think they had a really good... Because it was Balor cutting this promo, being like, oh, Seth, you wanted that guy from 7 years ago. Well, he's gone. But what's left is much worse. And he talks about the whole thing of, you got bitter and I got better. And Balor's talking about like, yeah, I use that to make myself this unstoppable, thing. And they used really, really good like recap video footage from 2016 when Balor got the injury. But more to this, and I wonder if that they'd forgotten this had happened, because this is the first time they've brought it up, that Rollins passes Balor after he vacates the title, laughing at him.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Because Rollins was a heel at that point and Balor was the babyface. And it's so interesting because the laughing is such a part of Rollins' gimmick now. And really what he was doing there was just walking past going like, ha ha ha, I'm a heel, ha 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 ha, you just got injured and you've had to vacate the title. But it feels like it's so tied into the character he's doing now.
That's really perceptive.
They've almost brilliantly retrofitted those two of his character. And now you've got, the flipped reverse because Finn's now the heel and Rollins is now the babyface. And like I thought Balor delivered the promo so good. I think this added so much to their feud and their feud of the match and the story.
That's a really perceptive point actually, because I think my and it's not mine, it's everyone's really, is that this is 7 years sort of too late. Like it's like you're bringing this up, but you've wrestled each other since. Like there's a lot going on. So I hadn't really
title feud.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of the laughter being so related to this iteration of Seth Rollins, and I was like, that's really fascinating. Almost the idea, as you were saying, that was in my head, almost the idea that he's been triggered by that in particular. Like it's not the fact that Seth's champion. It's the fact that he's walking around laughing at everything. And actually, like, I've worked really hard to get, I had my NXT Championship run. I've come back. We've had all this success with the Judgment Day. I need to take this from you now. That's the thing that sparked him off. That's a really, I don't know that that's what they intended to do, but that's a really interesting and perceptive thought. Well done, you.
Thank you very
Gold
much.
Star.
Well, thank you kindly. I mean, the thing that interested me is that I thought that video promo was so great, and then Rollins made his entrance, and I was like, oh, I want Finn to be the champ.
I do too.
I was like, because maybe this is a particularly hot take, and I know it's not that much of a hot take because Ollie feels way more passionately about this than I do. This is not my favorite version of Seth Rollins. I'm not as into this character of Seth Rollins as I know other people are. That's just a personal thing from me. Like I don't hate it. Like Ollie just flat out hates this
I don't
character.
hate it.
Like he actively cannot stand this version of Seth Rollins. It's just not for me. But like I was like, man, Finn's cool. Like Finn's a really rad dude, and that was a really rad promo. And then Rollins comes out, and I'm like, I don't think you're cool.
I like this character. I like the drip. I like the big red boots. I like the...
You did like the stompy boots.
I loved the big stompy boots. I loved the WrestleMania he was wearing a sleeping bag. I loved that. Like, I do like the character, but I wonder if it is because this promo made me sympathetic in a way towards Finn Balor that made me go, oh, I do find you quite boring, Seth. There's something about the
song's fun.
The song's fun, I guess, if you're live, but sitting at home, I'm like, this is a long show.
Well, that's it, because like I think of the Night of Champions party that we did when everyone in the long arm was singing it then, and I was like, oh, that's what this is all about. And I think it'll be fun when you're there in the O2 this coming Saturday and at the long arm with us. But it's not. I don't find him engaging as a character.
It's so weird because I did.
Yeah, I did.
I did for a really long time, and actually, I like that Seth won that belt. I think it was a good thing, and I think Seth had a point to prove against. I actually technically never lost to Roman Reigns, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know, but there is something about this particular promo, this one where he came out, where I was just like, I want to skip past this segment, and you're the world champ, and that felt weird.
But I prefer, if I say I prefer, I don't dislike this version of Seth as much as I disliked 2019 Seth.
Yeah, I agree with that. There is a spark to him. Yeah.
We got a recap of Ciampa's return last week, and then he cut a promo about he was injured for 9 months, and the Miz never called me. I feel like that is like the template.
Yeah, they've done that a couple of times.
It's for anyone who's returning. This tag partner never called me, or this person never texted me.
Terry Runnels did it. That's how she turned on the Hardy Boys in 1999. Like she said, the Dudley Boys put me through a table.
2000.
2000, the peak of wrestling. And
there's no way out 2000, in fact, when she turned on the Hardys.
Was there no way out? Because I have watched it recently, but she basically was like, yeah, I was at the hospital and you never called one time. This is a tale as old as time.
You expecting the Hardy Boys to go, Terry, no. And it's from Royal Rumble 2000. And anyway, so he just...
Oh, yeah, I thought you were singing.
No, it's from the Attitude Era
Terry,
podcast.
no!
It's just
There's not a place for you.
Exactly, yeah, because she's like, I'm going to go out there for your tables match. And James goes, Terry, no! It's funny because we have an editor called Terry and we say it around the office a lot. Terry, no. Anyway, so Tommy points out, why is Tommaso Ciampa playing second fiddle to The Miz? We were then supposed to get Tommaso Ciampa versus The Miz. However, The Miz attacked Ciampa before the bell and hit the Skull Crusher finale on the ramp, and the match did not take place.
Miz Card Vortex strikes again.
Imperium were chatting backstage, and this time, Zayn and Owens walked up to them.
Sorry, I will just say, because we've been hearing about the idea of Gargano and Ciampa tag teaming again. Gargano has previous with The Miz, so this is your way of bringing them back together. Yeah. I think that's where that's going to go.
Who does The Miz tag with, though?
Dexter Loomis, who has turned...
Oh.
I don't know.
I was about to... Odyssey Joe.
Yeah.
Anyway, Zayn and Owens walked up to Imperium. I quite like this from Owens, where he walked up and he wasn't quite sure why they were mad at Imperium. And then Sami Zayn was like, because they attacked Matt Riddle, and Matt Riddle's our friend.
I don't care about that, do I?
Yeah, and he's like, do I care about that? He's like, yeah, Matt Riddle's our friend. He's like, yeah, you're right. I am mad about that.
Yeah.
I think we should beat you guys up. And it set up Zayn versus Gunther for a match tonight. Thumbs up from me.
Thank you.
Dominic Mysterio versus Akira Tozawa was the revelation of who Dom had handpicked as the person who was on his level. This would have been so great with a better commentator.
Okay. Because I can I say why I liked it, and then you can talk about the commentary that ruined it. Because for me, this was really I would probably tune out the commentary at this point, but it's this idea that the heel asks for a tune-up match to show off against the opponent, and then Dom is reminded that actually, and Dom's had this hubris because he's been getting shots in on Cody Rhodes or whatever, and then finds out, oh, actually I'm quite rubbish, and Akira Tozawa is actually quite good, so he got some, decks in and then steals a win.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great. Another part of the storyline that I've really enjoyed, which is that they're playing these characters. It's a very simple story. Dominic thinks he's better than he is, and he's just got a reminder, and hopefully at the pay-per-view he'll get an even bigger one. Yeah. So what was so bad about the commentary? Imagine Jim Ross's reaction to this. Oh, come on. That sort of thing. Or a Tony Schiavone, babyface Tony Schiavone, acknowledging what he's doing. Acknowledging the ludicrousness of it. Because Corey Graves is being there as the heel, being like, this is a very smart choice by Dominic because Akira Tozawa, look how many 24/7 title reigns that he has 20 or 30 at least. Yeah, exactly. And he's listing off accomplishments of Akira Tozawa, playing up in the same way that Jerry the King Lawler would have done, or Bobby the Brain Heenan would have done as a heel, to be like, oh, you're yucking it up with a heel. And so Corey Graves does this, and Kevin Patrick instead says, go to connorscure.com to find out more information about Connor's Cure. And I'm like, play this up. Yeah. I get that you've got to do these plugs, but maybe don't do it now. Immediately. Because you, as the babyface commentator, should really be putting over how ludicrous all of this is. This should be played up as a real big joke, and that you are supposed to be indignant about this. And I don't feel any indignation from Kevin Patrick, who is a wet flannel, just sat at a commentary desk, just saying what he's being told to say. That's it, because, that kind of thing, you are fed that by the production team. They're like, and they're queuing up and play, and now Kevin say this thing, and so he has got to say it. But also then we have the match, and during the match, no. So, he says a couple of things here and there, but, as I said, when I think of Jim doing this, or Tony doing this, or Mike Tenay doing this, would have really been selling how ludicrous this is. But he was just like, well, I think he probably could have picked someone better. Yeah, I agree. Viking Raiders got a promo on Alpha Academy, and then we got I love Game of Thrones. Sorry. The gods have spoken to me. Work. I'm into that stuff. The gods haven't spoken to me in weeks. Yeah, because you keep getting hit by Maxine Dupree. I love this. Sorry, just doing a quick refresh. We've sold out for a third time, everyone. Sold out. Give a shout out to AJ Gardner. Yes, AJ. Well done, you. We've sold out our show for a record third time. Then we had all the Money in the Bank women standing in a row with Corey Graves. The SmackDown side of this, Bayley, Io Sky, and Zelina Vega were sort of just shouting over each other and sort of shouting until Trish stepped in and was like, guys, you're acting like children. Yeah. And I'm not a child. And I'm not a child, so I'm not going to get involved in this. But then she started cutting a promo on Becky, which I thought was a very funny thing to do. And then Becky sort of goes to say something to the microphone, throws it down. A brawl breaks out. Everyone runs wild on this, but it's Becky that stands tall. Becky climbs the ladder. She takes the briefcase down. Now, internet law would say
that's a guarantee she is not winning Money in the Bank this weekend, because no one in the history of WWE who's been filmed on TV before the pay-per-view climbing the ladder and unlocking the briefcase has won Money in the Bank.
Yeah, but they do by the numbers now, so they need one for next year, so maybe it will be.
Oh, Becky Lynch is the only
person
who was filmed on TV holding the briefcase before she won it. So I don't know how true, it's internet lore, of course. I thought this is the other bit of bad Kevin Patrick commentary. I had quite a few of those tonight, because this brawl breaks out and Kevin was surprised that a fight had broken out.
Have you watched the show?
Come on, mate.
Do you know which company you work for? Come on, dude.
So yeah, I thought Io, interestingly, cut very much a babyface promo in this.
It is, yeah.
Because Bayley was just like, you're all idiots, and anyone who's in this building is an idiot apart from me. I'm not an idiot, and Io Sky's not an idiot either. I'm going to win Money in the Bank, but Io's probably got a really good chance of winning Money in the Bank together, because we're going to work together. But Io Sky cuts a promo that was, made the best woman win.
Which is like that kind of cocky, arrogance confidence, but not heelish confidence. I really liked this segment too. I'm assuming you like the segment.
Oh yeah, very much so, yeah.
I like the segment. First of all, I love that Becky was dressed as Sporty Spice.
That's what it was.
It was an amazing look.
What? Like, she came out with this outfit, and I was like, where do I recognize this from? Oh, it's 1996.
Let me tell you, that bitch is snatched for the gods. She's looking great. She's very good. She looked fantastic. And she was kind of giving it the sort of swag. I like that everyone had an opportunity to say something. I think it was, we talked last week about how Becky sort of ran down. She's like, I've got so many enemies in this match. And Zelina, I don't even really know her. Like, what's the context? Yeah. And actually, that is almost the way that we as an audience feel about that, which is insofar as like, okay, so it's Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, Bayley and Io. We know we've seen Damage Control a lot. Zoe Stark, who is a brand new up-and-comer, but she's already made a statement in this Becky feud.
That's a good NXT call-up.
Exactly. A very good NXT call-up.
Good example. And when I mean of like inserting themselves straight into
a program with a big star. Yeah, you're right. That's a very good shout. And then Zelina Vega, who, had an incredible moment in Puerto Rico, but really, it feels like the outlier in this. So to have the opportunity to say something and to sort of answer that challenge or that charge from Becky was kind of interesting. I liked that a lot. And then
she's just sort of holding up what we would call in the UK a flip-flop. Yeah, she's holding that up as just like, this is my character now.
Yeah.
This got really over
in Puerto Rico because they knew what it was.
Yeah, but so this is now all I'm ever going to do.
Yeah. But, and then also the other thing that was then really nice is that, yes, Trish is giving this promo in the very Trish style, because Zelina was right. Trish has never had a ladder match.
A ladder match.
You might think that makes you nervous, but not Trish Stratus, because she's Trish Stratus and she's a woman, and she's like not a girl, she's a woman. Not yet a woman. She's gonna say, you're all gonna say thank you, Trish. And then Becky's turn. We've all had a turn to say some things. And Becky's been walking around chatting away to herself like she's gonna zigga. And then she pulls one back and just launches one of the perfect placement of the microphone to catch Becky's forearm and make it sound like an absolute thud. It just was a really good little segment.
I thought this was a great segment.
Yeah.
Kathy, this was our first Kathy Kelly appearance, 90 minutes into the show. Come on, you guys. It was our last Kathy Kelly appearance on Raw as well.
No, we had
you're right. We had one more.
And what a segment it was, but we'll get there.
Where she interviewed Carmelo Hayes, who cut a very good promo. And then, this was quite a fun little segment. Backstage, Becky and Rhea Ripley crossed paths.
Yes, this was fun.
With Becky saying that, you should be the man around here, but you're just a main event side piece. And then had this killer line, which is that I don't need the title. The title needs me. Oh, I thought it was and like,
tell her when she's telling lies.
And then I had this thing. I was like, imagine Becky with the briefcase and like the tormenting she would do to Rhea Ripley. I think having Becky here, the Raquel thing last week, not that Raquel got a great show in this week, but the Raquel thing last week. It's the first time I'm like, some actual challenges for Rhea Ripley, but instead she's having a match with Natalya next week.
We've talked about this a bit, about Rhea not being a fighting champion, and stuff has really sort of filtered out that in fact she's got knee issues and they may be taking a flare up, and so as a result she's sort of mitigating them and recovering from them, and which I think is a good thing. And it's not like she hasn't had presence, because I do think main event side piece,
always on the show,
but she elevates. And the other reports that the higher ups are very happy with the Judgment Day, in no small part because everyone is playing their part, and Rhea, rather than worrying about her own creative, recognizes, I've got to take a little time to recover, so I'm not going to worry about that. Instead, I'm going to keep myself as a star by helping get other people over.
Use my heat to help others.
Exactly, which for me is the sign of a true champion. Like, that's someone who you want to put the belt on. But Becky said the quiet part out loud, which is that you ain't defending that, right? So don't come here giving me all of this, because when I was the champion, I was in the main event every single week. I made that title, or not that title, I made the title mean something kind of thing. And I was just like, oh, what a spicy little tete-a-tete. And I thought Rhea sold it really well as well. There was a flicker of sort of like, oh, damn, you're right about that.
She is going to murderize Natalya next week.
Oh my God, you had to take it out on Natalya. I like you, I love that we're seeing, I do want to see Raquel and Becky, and I do want to see Rhea and Raquel, and I do want to see Rhea and Becky. What a great little triangle of potential future matches we've got there. Becky looming with the briefcase. That's what I mean by like giving the briefcase something.
Absolutely.
Give it to you've got the choices either in the men's match, give it to someone who is about to become a main eventer. And in the women's match, you could give it to Io Sky, who is a potential main eventer, or you can give it to someone who is a main eventer and really legitimize that thing. This was a really interesting segment.
Gunther took on Sami Zayn, as you would expect. This was awesome. Giovanni Vinci made his return, coming out on crutches. This was just an excellent professional TV wrestling match. Sami kept kicking out. Sami kept surviving no matter what Gunther threw at him. Sami kept kicking out until Owen got from the commentary to brawl with Kaiser at ringside. Gunther took out Owens, and then Zayn did a flip dive to take out Gunther. And Vinci hit Zayn with the crutch behind the referee's back into a Gunther powerbomb for the win. They really put over that Zayn took the champ to his limits there. And perhaps if it wasn't for Vinci, we might have seen Zayn pick up a win over the IC champ.
First of all, I loved this match, right? It was
great match.
I want to say that right at the beginning, because what I will say is I'd rather not have like 50-50 booking. There is a tag team championship match on Friday, so I want to be consistent here and ding them for having the champs lose, or one of the champs lose.
At least it was a singles match rather than a tag match.
I'd rather not see my champs taking pins. I'd rather not have 50-50 booking. But the reality is, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens can take it without suffering. And after a while, I suppose that does build up. But when those losses come in the way that they did, like you say, with the interference, but also after a match like that, like where I'm like, I want to watch that on television.
Want to watch it again? I want to watch it on pay-per-view.
With Kevin Owens.
Yeah, Kevin Owens on commentary was great. I want to see this as a full-on pay-per-view match. And this is I remember a few weeks back when I was talking about Night of Champions, and they were building Gunther and Matt Riddle, and they were saying that's actually our story, but also there's this Ali thing that we're supposed to be doing. And they were sort of like not really, they were spinning plays, but making a lot of them drop, but focusing on other ones instead. This is one of those ones where it's like they did a really good job here. They are telling you this is the exciting match this weekend. It's Gunther versus Matt Riddle, and here's why you should be excited about this. Matt Riddle making his presence felt at the end of this by running down to make the save from Imperium, but planting a seed to make you be like, and there's another story we could do after that match with Sami Zayn.
Or indeed with Kevin Owens. And also, like, it's because also it's potential Imperium tag teams. Giovanni Vinci coming back now. They could say, you know, in tag team matches and in singles, Imperium as a collective have got the better of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
So they could make an argument to challenge for the belt. Also, Riddle already looks more naked by wearing trunks rather than boxers. It's not being helped by the fact that he's got a little sock on now as well. Also, by the way, it took them long enough, but they finally confirmed that this match is happening at the pay-per-view on this show.
Yes.
We've all known it was.
Because Matt Riddle laid out the challenge and Gunther accepted
finally, it. And they are going to batter each other, and I'm into it.
So we will come back to some of these bits individually, but I do want to just run down the pacing of what happened here.
I did some maths on it. Yeah, please. At 2 hours and 7 minutes into the show,
we got a video promo for Carmelo Hayes. Then Finn Balor made his entrance for the Carmelo Hayes match. We then got an ad break. We then cut back to Balor in the ring. We then got Alpha Academy cutting a promo on Viking Raiders, who challenged them to a match next week, with them sort of cutting, doing bits and bobs. We then cut back to Finn Balor in the ring. We then cut to a recap of Rhea Ripley beating up Natalya a couple of weeks ago. We then cut to Natalya doing a backstage promo to set up a match with Rhea Ripley next week. Then we got a short promo for Rollins versus Finn Balor at the pay-per-view. Then Carmelo Hayes made his entrance for the Finn Balor match.
And the bell rang at 2 hours and 17 minutes. Finn Balor, from entrance to bell ring, was standing there doing nothing for 10 minutes.
That's Vince.
That is unreal.
that's pure Vince because that's what used to happen back in the Vince days.
Awful.
Like that sort of nonsense did not happen under Triple H's watch because he's very good at tightening up the production.
Again, structure.
It's about structure, and it's all about like Triple H is very good at making shows not feel like they're 3 hours, whereas Vince often makes them feel like they're 3 hours because of nonsense book and nonsense plotting out like this. But yeah, like on the Natalia thing, I suppose. Actually, Alpha Academy. We don't have Alpha Academy this match, so -5 show. But I thought their promo was fun. I thought that Maxine Dupree was excellent in this, and I loved Chad Gable in his little polo shirt thing and his little hat.
Yeah, and just cycling away.
Exactly, and he just I was like, "What's our plan for next week?" And he just goes, "Pure carnage, coach."
I love it. I have no notes.
No.
This is all so good. I think it's a similar thing with the Cody and Dom thing where it's so simple. Like it's just such a simple little storyline and it's doing so nicely for me.
And Natalia, is having a match with Rhea Ripley next week.
Because wins and losses don't matter. You can lose, be demolished, and then challenge for the belt.
Yep. Cool. Then we had the Finn Balor Carmelo Hayes match. Then we got our final Kathy Kelly appearance on Raw.
It was one for the record books.
As she interviewed Cody.
I got Kathy and Cody one more time.
Yep, with the dog.
With Pharaoh!
So they interviewed Cody and they interviewed the dog.
The forbidden door is wide open and it turned out it was a doggy door the whole time.
And Cody said that he was tired of talking about the Judgment Day, but he won't. He said Dom's not going to have Finn or Damien at ringside with him this weekend. And then he walked off, and presumably because she won't be on TV next week, the dog ate Kathy. Well, if I tune into Raw next week and she's not there, I don't know what I'm supposed to think. That's the only conclusion I can jump to. I'm going to roll out my jump to conclusions, Matt, and I'm going to land right on it.
She waved goodbye to Pharaoh, but it turned out she was waving goodbye to all of us. Kathy! I'm just going to show up on Saturdays now. It's going to be me, Tempest, and Sat, and I'm just going to be like, Kathy was there, and leave.
We got a video promo for the Bloodline Civil War, and then our main event was Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest. Crikey, Cody Rhodes sure had some adversity thrown at him this week, and he overcame all of it.
All of it!
Because Dom and Rhea came out early. They interfered loads. He overcame that. Damian Priest hit his finish. Cody overcame that. He overcame some more interference from Dominic Mysterio, and then he won.
I just love him. And I just want him to batter Dominic Mysterio. I want it to be a squash match. Or I want there to be some silly sports entertainment nonsense and Brandy's made the trip over to knock out Mammy and then, off we go. But I don't know. I like it. It's done well. It's done the job. Cody in the main event makes me happy. They had a good match. Damian Priest, unfortunately, had to eat a loss.
Well, so here's my big, bold claim to make.
Go on.
We'll go into more of this on the Money in the Bank predictions tomorrow. I think Damian Priest is winning Money in the Bank.
Whoa, you've settled on that one.
I've settled on that one, and my reason why is because he's done nothing but take the L's since WrestleMania. He feels like he's beaten on TV almost every week. He lost at Backlash to Bad Bunny, and he's lost a couple of times on TV since. And a classic bit of WWE booking is to beat someone like a drum, then give them Money in the Bank. Because the idea is that, well, it doesn't matter that we beat them loads because now they've got the briefcase and that's a reset button. And now all of those losses are kind of stricken from the record.
Interesting.
The fact he has lost so much really makes me think he's winning.
That is an interesting thought. Yeah, I'm still sticking with LA Knight, but you've made a very compelling argument there.
Well, I mean, it's not like he's racking up loads of wins either. But...
Well, that's it, yeah.
So, yeah, that was your episode of Monday Night Raw this week.
3 out of 5?
I gave it, 3 out of 5. I thought it was a totally fine episode, but it's as a go-home show. But and I made this point in the edited review as well, that's clearly something, much like the brand split, that I just need to let go of.
Yeah.
Because no one does go-home shows anymore.
Right.
AEW don't really do go-home shows. They don't book them like their go-home shows. Triple H has never booked TV like their go-home shows. I just don't think it's a thing anymore.
It's a thing we know. And also I think it's a thing that's interesting with because Triple H has famously booked the last episode before a pay-per-view to be quite bad. This one was not quite bad. So as a result, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, well done you. You've done all right there.
Yeah.
It did set up some of the big matches, and also we have 2 go home shows because we have
SmackDown as
well. But yeah,
But this is the go home show for the Raw.
For the Raw brand.
Yeah, for the Raw brand. But it just felt like I call this a paint by numbers episode.
Yeah.
With very good wrestling up and down the card, but broadly speaking, just paint by numbers. Totally fine, bland storytelling. But all right. Let's see if we've got any people to shout out in this fine episode. We, in fact, do have some people to shout out. Because if you head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, you can join our Pledgehammers on Patreon, where you get exclusive content behind the scenes. We've got loads of podcasts that are going up. In fact, tomorrow is going to be myself and Oliver Davis reviewing Slammiversary 2009 for WrestleTalk Extra, as well as uncut episodes of No Holds Barred. We have got early access to Adam booking videos. We have got the Behind the Scenes podcast, After Dark podcast, the Mailbag podcast. There's loads of all the Monday Night War stuff is going up on there as well. So yeah, go and check that out. Patreon.com/WrestleTalk. And if you're one of our $25 and above Pledgehammers on Patreon, you get your name read out on this show like these fine folks. The commentator of the century, Vince Phillips.
Mr. Moneybags, Rich Holt.
And a shout out to our wonderful moderators, Andy,
CJ,
Gaz,
Ian,
Jay,
John,
Les,
and Rob.
And importantly, because she never writes her name down, the Mod Mother Jenna. Give our moderators their claps and their flowers in the chats, please, because they are wonderful human beings and this place would fall apart without them. And they did incredible work over the weekend.
Yeah, big weekend. And we've got another one coming up.
Exactly, during the Forbidden Door coverage and the Forbidden Door review as well, and Collision the week before that. And yeah, you're right. It's our third weekend
in a row.
Where we've got like doing these sort of overnight reaction things or big night reactions. So please give our moderators a shout out because they are awesome. Let's get into the rest of your UltraChats. WrestleTalk.com/support. Ding, ding, ding. This is your last call. Kid Cuddy kicks us off. Said, I was in the crowd last night for my first live Raw. Dom and Rhea got booed out of the building. Cody and Priest match was fun. Got to see Gunther and Sami beat each other up. And Melo and Finn had a great match. Great start for Melo. Looked like he belonged.
Yeah, the crowd was great this week. To the point where I'm like, oh, wow, they're piping in these boos quite a lot. And then you look at the crowd and you see people are actually booing. Like, oh, they've just turned the volume up. Okay, great. Thank you to that crowd.
Here's this is very much a small sample size thing, but something I've thought is but quite an interesting note that I've sort of picked up over the last few months or so. So there was a period of time when AEW was massively hot, and every time that me and Ollie did Dynamite reviews, we would get like 5 Ultra Chats from people being like, I was at the building, it was so much fun, I was at the building, it was so much fun, I was at the building, I had a great time. And it was every single episode. And we made the point, like, we never get those on WWE shows. No one ever sends us in chats to be like, I was at the show and here's what I thought. We now don't get those AEW ones as much as we used to do. But we're getting more and more of the WWE ones. And I think that ties into, Sean has been reporting on this quite a bit, that WWE's internal memos are like every show they're doing is like the best-selling show they've done in that area in forever of all time. It's an incredibly hot product at the moment.
It is incredible, and the converse to that is that whether it's because they're playing a lot of similar arenas or there's been a level of uncertainty in the company, AEW's shows aren't selling out as much as they used to. So that might feed into it as well. But I think
that's what I mean. Not being a hot product at the moment, like that, these things will happen.
Yeah, and there's a lot in the WWE shows for the crowds to be active part of, like not just like cheering or. I mean, I wonder, not that he's like the CM Punk return in AEW. The Canadian crowd, whoa, God, they brought that match to life as well. I mean, it was a great match anyway.
With the Kojima match,
Kojima. But like the crowd really turned it into something else entirely. So I wonder, as Collision continues to grow, whether or not, because my best thing in the world is both being hot as anything. Like that's what you want.
Kevin said, as for Raw, I'm really happy to see Melo having a good showing, and Gunther and Sami was good, but it's another meh go home show. It seems like WWE isn't using TV to get you hyped for the pay-per-view, but rely on the card itself. Don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I just think that's the way the Triple H book shows.
I think I find personally anyway, a lot of the time I don't watch weekly TV. Like NXT, for instance, I didn't watch weekly NXT, but whenever there was a takeover, I would make a point of watching it.
NXT was not one. I always watched weekly TV, and I just sort of made a habit of it. Every Thursday, I would go on when I was working at my previous job, and every Thursday I would go on my lunch break, I'd take my iPad with me, and I would watch NXT.
Tight 1 hour show.
It's a tight 1 hour show, and it was just 3 or 4 wrestling matches and maybe a handful, like 2 angles. And it was very simple paint by numbers, but I actually quite enjoyed it. As an hour, that was great. 3 hours, it's a bit much.
Yeah.
Charles Berg said, here's a question that I'm wondering. Who wins in a match between Cut Gunther and Thick Walter? Also, quick praise for Dan Layton. Mark Markson is the highlight of a review. Anyone else who puts in the line, the masturbating the students is a winner to me.
I don't know what you're talking about. Cut Gunther, I think, because he's still got the striking power, but he's also quick and light.
Ryan Singh says, afternoon, guys. I would love to see Drew return as a heel at Money in the Bank and attack Seth after the match, but do you guys see the UK crowd booing Drew if he returned as a heel? No. Either way, hopefully we get Drew versus Seth at SummerSlam and Drew wins the belt. One more thing. Watching the video on Sunday made me realize how much Canada hate the heel doing a sharpshooter. That being said, a fun little question for you both. What do you think a wrestler could do or say to make a British crowd boo at Money in the Bank?
Ooh. Because the thing about Brits is that we like self-flagellating.
Yeah.
Like we enjoy taking the piss out of ourselves.
I think it's really funny back in the day watching WWE come over to the UK and try and do the local sports heat, which does not work in the UK.
Well, because half the time we've got 2 teams in the same city.
Well, that's it. Yes, I remember them doing a show in Manchester, and they had the good guys come out in Manchester United t-shirts, and they're kind of like, boo, boo that. Exactly, yeah. And because they're City fans, or all Manchester United fans live in London, so it's fine. You live in London.
Yeah, but the rest of my family don't.
But so I always
want to get the map out.
Or I remember back in the day during the Attitude Era and stuff, and then I'd have Tiger Rally Singh come out being like, well, I'm Indian, I guess, so boo me because you've got immigration, I'm a taxi driver and all this sort of stuff, and they never get it right.
What would you boo? What would you say or do to make Brits boo you?
Tea-based services is a pile of crap, and I'm like, boo that.
Sit in the middle of the ring and put your jam on your scone first, rather than putting the clotted cream on.
But there are places.
But even there,
there are places in the UK where that is the done thing.
Yeah, we like to take the piss out of ourselves. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, I even if you went in there and were like, oh, fish and chips are crap, there'd be people like, I don't like them.
I prefer a bad sausage. But there are some people who. I don't know. I'm trying to even think of celebrities where, generally speaking, if you came out and shat on Mary Berry, I think a few people would be quite cross of you about that.
Yeah,
that's our grandma.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Who are our national treasures?
Yeah,
Claudia Winkleman, obviously.
Carol Vorderman.
Carol Vorderman. Yeah. But there's some artists that don't like Vords.
Yeah, but the people who don't like Vords because of her politics like Vords because she wears tight leather trousers.
Oh, maybe there is that. Yeah.
There's a crossover. They got very conflicted. They're having a very conflicted time at the moment.
It's tricky, wank, but they get through it. Some suggestions here. Cricket sucks. I don't think that's going to work.
No, cricket's well boring.
Cricket is well boring.
Yeah.
No one berate Greg's.
Yeah, you could. Most people like a Greg's.
Oh, do you know what? Bring Boris out.
Oh, that would get nuclear heat at the moment. Are you joking?
Yeah. Maybe that is the answer.
Oh, the only thing to get...
Because even people are like, oh, dog on the royal family. No, because it's a very split thing here in the UK as well. It's
I don't mind them, but I know a lot of people who do.
I've got no issue with the royal family, but I don't love them either.
No.
But I know there are some people who are massive royalists, but I know there are a lot of people who are anti-royalist. We as a country are... We're just not like America.
We aren't like that because the flag doesn't do anything for us either. To get actual, real, visceral heat, what you would have to do is go on Love Island, be in a couple for 3 weeks, and then dump them. And then you'll get nuclear heat. But even this series is rubbish.
But even then, there are people that hate Love Islands. So, actually, do you know what? Because they hate Love Island, they would just hate them regardless. Because they were on Love Island, full stop. So
maybe that's it.
Maybe that's the way you find something that, you find a show that some people love, but you can be a bad guy on, but also people absolutely hate. That's the only way forward. Because even Modmon's suggestion today would be say that Harry and Meghan did nothing wrong. Trust me, there are people in this country that just that
either hate Harry and Meghan or hate the suggestion that Harry and Meghan are anything but perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all split. We're a divided nation. We're a scissor dial.
Oh, okay. Here's the answer: James Corden.
He's American now, anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Well, that's what I mean. James Corden coming out to be like, I'm from Essex. We'd be like, get out of the ring, get out of the building. We hate you. You're rubbish.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So yeah, that's what you could do. If you want to get heat with me, have a pop at Pie and Chip, and I'll probably have a boo of you. Where do we get to? This was a missed one from our Forbidden Door review that said, Canadian Pete here said, when Ospreay licked the blood off his arm, all the women in our section got disgusted. My girlfriend said, well, I hope that's catch up.
That's really funny.
Kevin here said, couldn't be here yesterday because of work, so I watched the pay-per-view last night. Move away, Triple H versus Taker at WrestleMania 28. Kenny and Will has become my favorite match ever. Even with the callous run-in, those lads put on a performance that made me go nuts. Forbidden Door overall was a banging show with 4 of my favorite matches of the year. The Fatal 4-Way, the 10-man tag, and a card of Bryan. Everything else was either good or fantastic. Like I expected, the AEW New Japan crossover continues to deliver. Kevin also adds here, finally I want to thank you guys, Pete, for your coverage of Forbidden Door. I know it's easy to say block the noise, but I think most people appreciate your work. Let's support each other and be better humans. Gem that jam. Much love. HH. Wait. We've got this one here. That's a good point, everyone. Let's all love each other.
Just like things and be nice to each other.
Support each other. Yeah. Matt Hennessy said, also, guys, I'm going to be attending SmackDown this Friday and Money in the Bank on Saturday. Also going to be attending All In this year, making trips from Ireland to the UK not once but twice. An exciting time to be in a wrestling fan.
There's some great stuff on.
You're going to SmackDown?
Yeah, wait, I'm holding my breath in case it hasn't been confirmed, but I might have just snuck into SmackDown at the last minute, literally as we were walking to the podcast studio. My friend was texting me. So there might be a chance I'm going to go to SmackDown, and in that case, I'll see a tag team match with Pretty Deadly and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Charlotte Asuka. And then I've got tickets to All In.
Yes, you have
as well. And we've got Money in the Bank. We've got it's
a great time.
The children are being fed.
We have an unknown user here. It's a Streamlab issue. Please do let our moderators know who said it's time for a women's only NXT style show. The Becky Trish story writing has been awesome.
I agree, it has been. My only hesitancy with the idea of a women's only show or a women's only hour, where Evolution was something that was a big statement, and actually I quite enjoyed that, is it the sort of thing where you were separating separate but equal, you'd be more inclined to not watch that hour if you didn't want to watch the women's wrestling rather than seeing it? I don't know. It's for me, even like a cruiserweights hour, when you provide a sole hour that exists separately to everything else, is it encouraging you to watch it, or is it giving you an excuse to not watch it? It's a very difficult thing to walk. I think the solution, honestly, is take Raw down to 2 hours and just make those 2 hours tight. I think that's literally the only way to do it. Or fill your 3 hours with some great stuff. Just space it out and structure better, because Triple H is good at structuring.
Yeah. Michael here, I don't quite know the answer to your first question, which is about what happens to Vince's shares once he passes. No idea. That'd be a question for their board of directors. They add here, I teach 9th graders and just realized that their middle school years were quarantine wrestling years while ours were original DX. Oh. That sucks. Since I teach, I watch 12 hours later. Ollie stopped watching Raw. Sucked. Then graced us with Dan. Luke breaks our hearts by saying it's Dan the last day and replaced him with Chopper. Chop did 2 weeks and now Dan's back. Also, what happened with the box? What have I missed? Well, the box, that got revealed a month and a bit ago. It's the support WrestleTalk bumper.
Yeah, which is good.
Which was in the box. And Dan's back.
Hey!
Because, we love Dan.
Thanks.
I want to see Dan back.
I like being in this chair.
And that is all of our UltraChats. So I'm going to quickly end the poll and see what people thought of this episode of Monday Night Raw, which only got 7% thumbs down, 37% thumbs in the middle, 54% thumbs up.
I think it's hard to hate it. I think there was not a lot in there where you're like, that was objectively bad. I can understand people finding it mid, but yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike any of it. You know, I didn't like it as much as I liked last week's, but I did like it.
Make fun of how you say aluminium. What you mean?
Yeah, correctly. Oh, you spell it wrong. Aluminum. Get out.
Come on, grow up. Right, that's all we've got time for on this edition of the show. Thank you all so much for joining us. Please do press the subscribe button if this is your first time here. You made it this far. Give us a little thumbs up. Help us in the algorithm. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought of Monday Night Raw. We will see you tomorrow. It's a busy week here. Join us tomorrow. It's Money in the Bank predictions. Then on Thursday, it will be AEW Dynamite. Possibly even with a little bit of extra Fight Forever gameplay in there as well. Because maybe we'll just, we'll do the review, and then we'll play Fight Forever for a little bit. And then on Friday, something Money in the Bank related should also be dropping here on this very channel. Then on Saturday, it is our live coverage of Money in the Bank, live from the Long Arm Pub and Brewery in Shoreditch. And then on Sunday, it will be our Money in the Bank review. And then on Monday, you and Laurie Blake will be reviewing AEW Collision.
There you go. How about that?
So it is and then on Tuesday, it's Raw again.
Yeah, and we're back.
And we're back.
Back to the full week.
So,
no days off, ever.
No days off. It's a busy old time here. There are videos going up every single day. So please do subscribe and we will see you for all of them because I have been the current DAD. That has been the Professor Dan Layton. Jam that jam.